All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to get started. Welcome to IP Expo, and on behalf of NEC, welcome to this session on key considerations to think about when you look at empowering your business with unified communications and collaboration. I'm going to get started and go through this rather quickly. First of all, I'm going to talk to you about millennials. You may not have heard of millennials. These are typically known as people born after 1980. And why are they important? Because they're becoming half of your workforce. And they're important because as half of your workforce, they have a slightly different mentality. And we'll talk about some of that as I go through some of these slides. They are key considerations not only in how you think about deploying IT technology in your organization, but how we develop our technology for you to use in that organization. Now, as you're probably aware, they're always connected. They use a lot of social networking, and these studies show that 75% of them have at least one social networking profile, and I'd be surprised if most of them have only one. Now, the other piece of millennials is their use of mobile technology. If you know millennials, you know they've had their right arm sawn off their wrist and they've had a smartphone attached to it almost permanently. So they live on smartphones and they live on mobile devices. In fact, these studies show that surprisingly they use it a lot more than they use television, right? And it's been a big change in our society over the past several years. Another important part is how they use it. Communication is a common mechanism for millennials to use these devices. And whether they're using laptops or mobiles, you'll notice email and social networking are right up there and top the list. When you talk about email and social networking, we're talking about interaction or collaboration among people. Now, the other important part is that if you know some of these millennials and you have children like mine who are millennials, when you look at your mobile bill, you find out that you're paying for a voice service that they never use, right? My daughter's 2 minutes a month of voice is outweighed by 3,000 instant messages every month. So they use them primarily for text messaging, and it's become a predominant way that they interact with one another. The other interesting thing is how many of you know millennials that sleep with their phone every night? Now, maybe some of you sleep with your phone at night. I don't. But I have children who are millennials, and God forbid they have to go to bed at night without their cell phone next to their pillow. And it's a matter of the way they operate, the way they think. It's their lifestyle. Important part about work is they believe that this technology really improves what they can do in the workforce. They take the way they live and what they do and how they collaborate and communicate, and they want to transform that. They want to bring that into their work life and use that technology, and they're comfortable with that technology. Now, the other important thing about this, if you're running IT in your organization, is thinking about millennials that come into the workforce. They believe all the stuff that's available that they use all the time, they will bring it in and actually use it inside your organization for day-to-day business. So now you have the challenges of deciding, gee, how does this social network tool used as a business tool work inside my organization? Or am I providing them with tools that they quickly adapt to and use in their business life, right? Now, bringing their technology and devices into the business can be a good thing for you. You've all heard of this term, BYOD, bring your own device, bring your own communications, bring your own laptop in the office. There's good economics surrounding that, as long as you consider how you enable those devices with the appropriate technology. Let me take you for a minute just to a quick little video, because I want to actually give you a chance to hear, not from me, but from how some of these millennials think. And I'll play a quick little video for you, see if we have the audio track.
At the core of being a millennial, we are defined by technology. If you take technology out of our lives or out of my life, I would notice its absence more than most things.
I'm very comfortable with technology. I'm always excited to learn more, and I think with our generation it's become like a standard and it's instinctive.
We are connected all the time through our technological devices. I use all the time my smartphones to be connected, so it's all about connection.
I definitely spend too much time on the internet. I think it's just addicting. There's too much information out there, and I feel like there's this pressure to always be on the forefront.
I will check into my Facebook page every 3 hours, minimum.
I wake up in the morning and my phone is next to my head on my bed. Before I brush my teeth, I check my phone and see if I have any messages from the night before. And then I'll go to work, and before I start my work day, I'll open up my work email, and I'll also generally open up my Facebook.
I can't imagine not sending emails or text messages to people and waiting for hours and hours or days to communicate.
Technology improves our lifestyle in many ways, not only connecting us with people when you're not sitting next to them, but allowing us to virtually interact with things that we never could before. Technology is definitely a catalyst for helping everyone move forward and everyone become more independent, whether you look at it in a social way or in a socioeconomic way, or plain simple just from a human being society standpoint.
So to me, I think that the future will bring us more ways to utilize technology and to basically take us even further than we can imagine.
So thank you for that telephonica. So the key question then is, what does all this mean for you? Keep in mind that these kids totally mobile, they want to work anywhere, and you hear them talk about always being connected, waking up and checking my connectivity, my messages, my social page before I even eat breakfast, checking it at night. They're very connected socially, so the collaboration that's happening in the workforce, because of the nature of the way they've been born and lived in their young lives, is changing what's happening inside of your workforce. Their ability to consume and utilize instant messaging, video capabilities, web conferencing is something they just expect in what they have in your workforce, and they're very comfortable with using their own devices. In fact, in most cases, you'll find they expect to come in and be able to just use that device, and this is an advantage for you if used correctly. They actually believe that they will have a say in what software you deploy and use inside your organization. We'll see if we really believe that or not, but this is the kind of influence this millennial generation now. Let me talk about it in a slightly different way. Let's consider what we call the nomadic workforce. And at NEC, we look at the way people work and what changes in the workforce when we bring millennials into the workforce, but also this idea that workers have become much, much more nomadic. And by that, what we mean is that their lifestyle almost seems a bit chaotic, right? And how many of you travel around, you go from place to place, and you're always trying to connect and communicate. So the difference here is that as a nomadic workforce, they're always traveling around to meet with people. And these are typically your field people that need to be connected. They're always traveling around to meet people, but their office is always with them, right? I travel around the world a lot, and my office is always with me. I don't care where I'm at. I can turn up and be at work in a heartbeat. It means that I'm constantly adapting to infrastructure, right? How many of you go places and you're always trying to figure out where's the Wi-Fi? And so you're always taking your devices and you're trying to adapt to available infrastructure. Why? To stay connected. Whether it's your email, whether it's collaboration, whether it's a conference call you need to be on and you want to do it with a soft phone, you're always trying to be connected. As a result of that, the workplaces for nomadic workers are everywhere, right? And what happens when I work from everywhere? Well, I'm on the move a lot, so I want to transform. I want to move from place to place in a real seamless way. So what happens with nomadic workers is they're joining different meetings or they're having collaboration sessions and dialogues with people in all these different places. How many of you have been on a web conference and in the middle of the web conference it's time to go to the car park, but what happens? You want to stay on that audio session and close down and continue to be part of that conversation. But that transition is quite often a very difficult one, right? It's dialing in again, it's finding that code, it's punching in that pin. And we look at it and say, how do we make that transition? How do we make it seamless and easy for nomadic workers to transition from any place at any time, from any device to any other device during their collaboration? It's a key part of changing how we empower what they do. And your technology choices make a big difference in what you can enable for this workforce, both the millennial workforce and this nomadic style workforce. The technology choices really matter. So if we take a look at it, considering what users utilize, you want to enable access from all these devices. there's a big talk in our industry about mobility, but it's not just about enabling something on every mobile device. It's about ensuring that the experience across every device and the consistency of information and the security mechanisms used are very consistent. Okay, so no matter what device they use. I always say, if you go to a millennial person that uses something like a Facebook, they would look at you strangely if you told them that you had to have a separate username and password and your user experience and your friend list on your mobile phone or your tablet or your PC was all different on each one. And we would never expect that. So we seek to ensure that we have a common user experience across all these environments. And that's a very important aspect of what we try to deliver in our technology as we define it for this changing workforce. Now, the other thing we do is we look at communications from what we call the user, and we focus on the user route. Those of you who have dealt with communications in the past, particularly telephony, think of deploying PBX systems, and we always started with the idea of an extension or a phone on somebody's desk. And the only relationship to a human was maybe a spreadsheet with names on it back in the telephone guy's room. In this case, we design systems that start where you define the user first, and then you add different devices that are bound to that user wants to utilize for collaboration and communication. And you give them the power to control that communication at any time from anywhere. So if I take all these different means of connecting with people, what it means is that Brad, in this case, can take any of his applications, and from any of his applications, he can visually see the status of any of those communications on any device. And it doesn't matter what device he's on. And now he can move that communications around to where he needs it to be. It allows him to be very seamless in any of those transitions. I can move from a web call to a mobile call on my GSM phone by simply clicking and dragging that call to my mobile number, or vice versa, believe it or not, being on a mobile call and arriving at your office and in one click pulling that mobile call across and putting it on your desk phone. So this kind of flexibility is empowered by technology when you engineer or design the architecture of your software for enterprises in the right way. Now, another view we take is different roles inside the organization. A lot of times we design technology kind of horizontally, and we don't engineer the flexibility to adapt to the different roles inside your organization. Keep in mind, inside your organization, you have different kind of nomadic work styles. When you go from the sales guy to the engineering team to marketing guys that run webinars to the support guys, they all work a little differently. They engage with different people inside and outside your organization. So when you look at technology, it should really be designed to be flexible enough to adapt dynamically to these different roles and these different work styles of these roles. When we look at that, what kind of things are we talking about? Well, when you go across different industry, you have different people that work in different ways. So for example, if I go to engineering groups, if you're an engineering company, I have work groups that work together. Usually those work groups have 6 or 8 people in them. And they work on projects. They have to bring in a lot of different documents. They have to whiteboard. Quite often those meetings are internal. They're inside the organization. They're not outside the organization. There's chats going on. There's a lot of information exchange. They want to pull in a lot of different documents and review them on the fly. It's a very different way that those work groups work. The same technology, and you'll notice the screen looks the same when I go to a sales presentation. Look at your sales guys. They want to be able to have a set of presentations they pull up in a heartbeat and engage with clients out there in the marketplace. And you want to make it really easy for them. Well, I can use the same infrastructure in my data center to enable my sales guys to go have those kinds of meetings and do it in a very easy way. When I go to clients, the last thing you want to do is go to the client and tell them they got to go download software to be able to have my collaborative meetings. So what we do is design it so there's never any software required for them to go join your collaborative meetings. So you enable your sales guys to very easily engage with the marketplace. Go to your marketers. What do? They want to run webinars. Now they've got hundreds of people on there, but I can't have hundreds of people in a webinar and have them all chatting because it's not a very good webinar. I won't know what's going on. So we empower them with the ability to control who talks, the ability to create a webinar and send out marketing web messages, and invite those people into my webinars and run those webinars. The ability to poll people with questions and get a feel for, is my business content valuable to them? Again, all off the same core technology out of your data center. I'll go further and say, what if you're in the business of doing education? And this might be trainers inside your organization, or you might be in the business of doing education, a university, for example. And again, leveraging the same technology in your data infrastructure, but empowering the educators to use that technology to be able to hold virtual courses, the ability to reach students outside of your local university, for example. And when you do that education, how does it tie into the educator's calendar? Can I create repeating meetings so that, or recurring meetings, so that my class for that semester shows up every week and I can see which students join? Does the report come into the educator, the professor's email, and say, here's all the students that joined the session and how long each student stayed on the call during that course? Can I create polls during that session so that I can get a feel for whether those remote students are actually capturing the content that I'm educating them on? Again, all tools integrated with common technology in your data infrastructure, leveraging it for these different roles. What if you're in the healthcare business and you want to offer solutions that enable doctors not only to work among themselves and consult with expertise in a certain area, or build actual virtualized consulting or patient consults where I as a doctor can simply have a patient log into a website, right, connect to a website. I can call that patient at any number they want me to. I don't need them to actually take the leap of trying to figure out how to call in. Their phone rings. I can bring up x-rays. I can show videos and MRIs inside this session. I can bring up my video so they can see my face as a doctor, and I can have a consult to them, save them time on childcare, save them time on travel to the doctor, save them time on time off work. All right, these are efficiencies we're talking about enabling inside your infrastructure, depending on the type of business and type of role you're supplying technology to. Now, let me go another way with using this technology. All of us have meeting rooms, right? Well, we call these shared workspaces. People come into your office, maybe they have their own meeting room or their own office, but quite often what do? We set up meetings and we go down the hall to a meeting room. Sometimes the meeting rooms are really big, sometimes they're really small. Well, in these shared workspaces, quite often we buy technology and we enable these shared workspaces with tools to allow them to collaborate. The most common one is really expensive gear called video conferencing gear. And I'm sure most of you know a room somewhere where you have video conferencing gear in the corner and it has lots of dust on it because people stop using it because it's hard to use the remote and get everybody connected. Or moreover, people don't deploy it everywhere. Why? The number one thing people use in a collaborative meeting room is voice, right? Most of you go to meeting rooms and first thing you do when you got people outside that meeting room is you get on a voice conference call. But the next most important thing people want to do is share content. Well, if I want to share content as the next priority, are the tools in the room enabled to share content? And maybe they want to do video, and it should be an integral part of the solution. So we look at it and say, use the same exact tools to enable that kind of technology in all of your meeting rooms. Now my experience, whether I'm in my office, whether I'm in a hotel room, or whether I'm in a large meeting room, the tools I use, the meetings I create, the collaboration I do is very consistent. And I'll guarantee you, we'll show you how the ability to do that stuff using web technology in those meeting rooms is much more cost effective. It's much easier to use, right? And remember, when you do video conferencing and you try and invite somebody externally, how difficult is it? Right? In this case, we're talking about making it really easy to invite people outside the meeting room. Now, with our technology, we can support all of these modes. We can integrate video conferencing as well as this web conferencing technology to enable your shared workspaces. But think about the power and the flexibility that you get here. Now, when you go into this approach, what I want you to think about is assessing your workforce. Thinking about where they work, how they work, what are the roles they have, how many people are you going to enable from home, and what technology enables you to do that in the smoothest way, but still secures your information for your business. How easy does it work across public networks into these NATed environments or Wi-Fi environments of this and make it really easy for you to deploy and support your end users? Second piece is looking at your infrastructure selection. So you got to think about end users and what you need to enable them with, and then what fits into your IT strategy. How has your vendor integrated or developed their technology to fit with your IT strategy inside your organization? Does it fit with your security policies? Does it fit with how you govern your network and your business practices inside? Does it support the ability to deploy it on-premise or in the cloud? All right? Do you work with a partner that has it available from the cloud and you can put it in both places and have a hybrid solution that gives you extreme business continuity? It gives you that disaster recovery protection. So these are some key things I want you to think about. What I'd also like to do is invite you over to join us for a 2-minute demo, 2 minutes of your time at our booth right over here in E20. What you'll get to see is everything I'm speaking about right here, right? We'll show you this shared workspace. We'll show you the collaboration tools. We can show you different scenarios you might need to use them in your business. We've got all the different types of tablets and mobile devices there, and we can show you how you can enable your users to control their calls and move these devices around among their devices. So please join us over in E20. And in fact, I think we have a little special goodie bag over there, or maybe on your way out we'll have one for you. So I want to thank you for joining us here. And please again join us at booth E20. I appreciate it.